Foxconn's departure has hit Hernan exports hard.
这里是由郭台铭在
Here is the largest Foxconn factory invested in by Guo Taiming in Guizhou. At its peak, it employed up to tens of thousands of workers and realized a total output of 100 billion yuan in 2018. It brought the greatest economic benefits to Guizhou. People once had high hopes in it, but now the site is in a state of depression. The gates are closed. It's really saddening to see. Then the question comes, why does Foxconn insist on moving out of China? In the early days of China's reform and opening up, many Taiwanese businessmen entered China, and China gradually became the factory of the world. In recent years, due to Beijing's policy shift to the left, China's business environment has become increasingly unstable. Many foreign capitals, including Taiwanese companies, have chosen to exit China and move their supply chains to India, Vietnam, and other countries. Foxconn, a subsidiary of Taiwan's Hanhai Group, is one such example. Hernan Province is the largest cell phone production base in China, and Apple supplier Foxconn has a factory in Guizhou, Hernan. The Guizhou factory once accounted for more than half of Apple's total production and was the world's largest iPhone production base.
The
news of Foxconn's departure swept through Hernan like a storm. As a giant that once supported Hernan's foreign trade, will Foxconn's withdrawal have a major impact in Hernan? Let's look at how much Hernan relies on Foxconn. Since Foxconn came to Guizhou in 2010, Foxconn has supported almost the entire foreign trade of Guizhou. Data shows that Foxconn once contributed more than 80% of Guizhou's exports. With no doubt, it has been instrumental in the prosperity of Hernan's foreign trade. Foxconn employed about 300,000 workers in Guizhou. If we count the upstream and downstream enterprises that rely on Foxconn, such as the catering and accommodation industries, the overall number of people involved may be more than 1 million. The resident population of Guizhou is about 12 million, and the working population is about 7 million, which means that every 7 working people have one person directly or indirectly relying on Foxconn to make a living. In other words, from the employment opportunities, tax contributions to the housing prices, Foxconn's role in Hernan's economy can be said to be omnipresent. Relevant data shows that no other enterprise can compare to Foxconn in terms of its impact on Hernan last year. Last year, Foxconn's import and export value reached over 400 billion yuan, accounting for 74% of the total output of Guizhou City and 50% of the total output of the province. For the first quarter of 2024, Hernan's foreign trade isn't optimistic, dropping 30.9% year-on-year, and exports are getting increasingly less, only 65.2 billion compared to nearly 100 billion before. It's closely related to Foxconn's departure. Remember what those keyboard warriors said when Foxconn said they were leaving? They said, "Hurry up and go." Without Foxconn, the Earth is still rotating. The Earth is indeed continuing to rotate, but the Foxconn industrial chain in Guizhou is paralyzed. Not only are more than 200,000 Foxconn employees facing job losses, but there are countless families behind them, as well as catering and entertainment services around the factory. Accommodation and others are affected to varying degrees. At least hundreds of thousands or millions of people are at risk of losing their livelihoods. Surely, it doesn't mean that Hernan or Guizhou will collapse without Foxconn, but shouldn't we reflect on why we have come to this point? Some people say that we can't compromise on principles, but I don't understand how Foxconn can affect China's national security. Can we have a win-win solution? After all, only stable employment can maintain social stability. And what is more important than people's livelihood? Look at the Foxconn parking lot. Before, one couldn't find a spot to park. Now there are no cars. Look at the side of the road. Before, the roadside parking spaces were full. Now they're empty. Does anyone know what's going on here? Last August, Foxconn founder Guo Taiming announced his candidacy for president of Taiwan. 2 months later, his company Foxconn was the subject of a tax investigation, signaling Beijing's dissatisfaction with Guo's candidacy. The Beijing authorities have been suppressing Taiwanese businessmen for years. They use political means to force Taiwanese businessmen to take a political stance, knowing that in democratic societies, businessmen can influence politics. For example, the Far Eastern Group in Taiwan was subjected to a tax audit in 2021, mainly because in 2020 it had financed a very large number of candidates from the Green Camp. The Green Camp is a Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, in Taiwan, which the CCP considers an enemy because of its firm stance on protecting Taiwan's sovereignty. In 2016, Taiwan's Haipa Wang Group was subjected to a tax audit because it was said to have a close relationship with Taiwan's then-president Tsai Ing-wen's family. Beijing's suppression of Taiwanese businessmen has created a chilling effect, making foreign business people feel that doing business in mainland China may result in their families being raided and ruined at any time, and that even though the Chinese market is large, foreign businessmen may face the risk of imprisonment. In addition, the authorities can do whatever they want by virtue of the national security law and the anti-espionage law, so it has accelerated the withdrawal of many foreign companies from China. The Vietnamese media reported last summer that Foxconn planned to invest another $300 million and hire 30,000 employees. In February, Foxconn signed a contract with Vietnam to lease 45 hectares of land until 2057. Foxconn announced in May 2023 that it had spent $37 million to buy a large piece of land on the outskirts of Bangalore, India's technology center. Foxconn operates about 9 production bases in India and owns more than 30 factories. It's expected that by 2025, about 30% of Foxconn's production will be done outside mainland China. Foxconn has finally gone and taken away 320,000 jobs. Now the commercial pedestrian street in the new area of Guizhou Harbor is no longer the same as it was in the past. It was once called Little Hong Kong because of the bustling presence of Foxconn, but now it's a very different scene. Think about the 320,000 workers originally employed by Foxconn in Guizhou. If it moves away, a large number of people are bound to lose their jobs. So where should these workers go? And more importantly, most of these workers are young people with low education, and the pressure on them to find employment will be rather heavy. I mean, if more than 300,000 people are going to deliver takeouts, who is going to order the food? Recently, a post was going viral on China's intranet where a Chinese man knelt and apologized to Foxconn. He said that he used to think that Foxconn was a shady factory until he went to a local shoe factory in mainland China and realized the good things about Foxconn. The man said that while working in the shoe factory, he wasn't allowed to go to the toilet in private, but Foxconn offered a 10-minute break every 2 hours as well as an extra smoking area. In the shoe factory, he had to take out the shoe covers from the stove, so he had to spend $3 a day out of his own pocket to buy gloves. Whereas in Foxconn, he didn't have to pay out of his own pocket, as the factory gave a pair of gloves to the workers every day. He also compared the wages. He said that the monthly wage in the shoe factory was 4,500 yuan, and the daily working hours were from 6:50 a.m. to 11 p.m., 17 hours a day. In Foxconn, he worked 10 hours a day and earned 4,500 yuan a month. In addition, if you got sick at Foxconn, you didn't have to spend money on medical expenses. The factory would reimburse you. On the other hand, the shoe factories didn't even pay for social insurance. Is Foxconn a sweatshop? To experience the work and life of Foxconn, a blogger from Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, Xiao Bao, worked on the assembly line of Foxconn in Guizhou for 1 day. His video should have been taken in January of this year, so let's take a look at what he experienced. Foxconn's dormitory area is well built. It's 8 people per room. From the outer appearance, it's like a neighborhood building. It costs $150 a month with all utilities and Wi-Fi included. It's a very reasonable price for a dormitory, even better than a college dormitory. Below the dormitory is a commercial area with internet cafes and some small restaurants. If you feel uncomfortable living with others, you can rent a place in Zhangzhuang, a village in the city near Foxconn. The environment of these rentals is really good. You can see that the lighting here is unobstructed, the spacing between the buildings is spacious, and the rent is only 350 yuan for such a unit with a private bathroom. The next day, we had to attend a full day of training before starting work, and then we could enter the assembly line. The whole classroom had more than 50 people. They were hired yesterday with me. In the peak hiring season, it's estimated that there will be thousands of people. Sitting next to me is a mother in her 30s. She lives in the countryside near Foxconn. She is usually at home with 3 children. Now that her children are out of school for the winter break, there are grandparents around to take care of them, so she has the time to come to Foxconn to work. She said she planned to work at Foxconn during the Chinese New Year, except for the 2 days of New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. I said, "You're too hardworking. You have to work here during the entire holiday of Chinese New Year?" She said that working at Foxconn was much easier than raising kids at home. She said that she had to take care of everything for her children, including food, clothing, and transportation. And the most tiring part was supervising their studies. She had to yell at her children every day, which was exhausting. This mom usually commutes to work by subway. Yes, you heard it right. The villages near Foxconn have opened a subway line, and there is a subway station at the entrance of Foxconn, so people in the nearby villages can commute to work by subway. So, for this mom, working at Foxconn is a great way to make money, do less work, and be close to home. She says she likes working at Foxconn because it has good benefits, a good income, and a very good environment in all aspects. She hopes to be a long-term, full-time employee at Foxconn. In the group I was assigned to, both supervisors and team members were very friendly and civilized and respectful, and there was none of the kind of scolding, bullying, or quarreling that I saw on the internet. I also talked to someone who was assigned to another group, and he said that their group was relatively strict, but no matter how strict it was, if the employee didn't want to work overtime, he didn't have to work overtime. He could get off work on time after 8 hours. Therefore, these basic rights of the employees, the right to refuse overtime work, can be protected at Foxconn. The inspection team I work for is full of young college girls who come to Foxconn during winter break to make money. The hourly wage is low, only about $10 an hour plus a little bit of overtime pay. So if they work for a full month, they might earn $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Then we may have a question. Why don't these college students get an intern job but work at Foxconn? Not only will an intern job make the same amount of money, but it also enriches their resume. We have to consider one thing. The money they make from internships is basically used to pay rent and food. It's difficult to have leftovers, but if they work at Foxconn, they are fed and housed. They will be able to save pretty much however much they make. Now, during the lunch break, I came to their cafeteria to eat. These dishes were quite cheap. Vegetables were only 1.5 to 2 yuan, meat dishes 6 yuan, and steak cost only 6 yuan. It was cheap and the portions were large. If I were to have 2 meat dishes and 1 veggie in the Shenzhen University cafeteria, with such a large portion, it would cost me $20. But here at Foxconn, it's only $14, which is a really good deal. Moreover, Foxconn gives them a monthly subsidy of 450 yuan for meals, which means food is virtually free. So the food is not only delicious here, but the portions are big and the price is cheap too. After watching this video, you probably got a better idea of the Foxconn factory. Thank you for watching China Insights. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you next time.